Alright guys, let's see how this goes today. I don't put a lot of faith in my computer sometimes. So, right now I am mixing up some of the Jacquard textile paints. I got a little exciter pack from my friend, and I was very excited about my exciter pack. It was very exciting. So, I'm mixing up a couple of colors. I wanted this very autumnal. That's fancy, huh? I'm in college. I wanted a very autumnal orange, so I wanted something very pumpkin-y. There, less college-y. So I mixed up a couple different colors. One was like a russet, one had orange, and it wasn't orange, and one was yellow. Sorry, I've been studying all day, so I'm fried. So I mixed those colors up and just scraped them on to the raw craft paper. This is Distress Paint in Wild Honey, and I am mixing in a little bit of something. Oh, Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold by Golden. And I just wanted to darken that color up a little bit, and I'm using a little foam roller. This was from the dollar store. I got it at Dollar Tree. And I just very lightly pounced it into the color and then slowly rolled it over the card. So I spent a long time straightening it all up and then proceeded to bunch it all up and crush it. So I wanted to make it look like an old piece of paper. I was already loving the texture I had on there, but you can never have too much texture. So I pulled out my archival ink in sepia, and I just went over those raised areas, just trying to bring some definition, make it look a little bit like old leather, old funky leather. So again, I always iron on the back. It's just a habit I've got myself into, except for right there where I ironed on the front. So do as I say, not as I do. So now I am trimming off, what is that, maybe 1/8 of an inch off of each of the sides. And at first I was thinking about, oh, maybe I can use these, and I still have them. They're still on my desk, but I didn't want to use them on this page. So again, I'm on the quest to use up all of these pages and hopefully not make my journal too thick. It's already kind of thick, so yeah, gluing 2 pages to each other equals a couple less pages I have to decorate, so, and have the potential to have things glued to them. So I took another page and I put some brown around the edge. I want to say it was Burnt Umber, and it's by Golden. And I'm just using scissors. These are serrated scissors I got from the dollar store, and I'm just going right around the edge. I didn't want to use my Tim Holtz distressing tool because A, it's tiny and it's hard to find, and B, because I feel like you don't get as rugged an edge with that as you do with the edge of a scissor. And what's cool about the scissors is that sometimes it'll nick the paper and will actually cut into the paper. When you're trying to distress something, that's cool. Like, it's supposed to be not perfect. So I like that. You just have to be really careful, especially if you're using your Tim Holtz scissors, because those things are so sharp. So be careful if you're doing this. So again, just distressing everything, and this makes a giant mess, FYI. So don't do it over your children's head or into your pet's food bowl. If you work on the kitchen table, just be mindful of what a mess it makes. You don't want to feed it to your children, be they furry or not. So I used a little bit of ATG, and I essentially taped it down and then took it over to my sewing machine and sewed around the edges, and while I was sewing I held a piece of mesh in place, so that mesh is sewn down onto the page. And I don't know what it is I'm doing here. I say that a lot. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, see, there I was looking for my Tim Holtz distressor tool. So I didn't want the outside page to be as distressed. I wanted that inside page, that orange inset one, I wanted that to be extremely distressed, and I wanted the brown one to match it but not be super duper distressed. So yeah. And here I'm just playing with a couple strips of some of my faux resin paper and some dictionary paper and a couple pieces of scraps. I'm just trying to use stuff up. And this is more of that jacquard paint, the textile paint, and I just brushed it on and then dabbed some of it off. Just again trying to tinge it and get it to be that decent tone I'm looking for. And, you know, sometimes I just have the hardest time putting things together. Let me get back to that in a second. So I am hot gluing the threads right around the holes because the mesh got sewn over the holes. So in order to bind this into my book, I had to cut away the mesh from the holes, which is fine. I just had to secure the stitching on the back, which I did with hot glue. So sometimes it's really hard for me to put together like a collage. This is a little piece of paper that I cut. I hate to say this, but fussy cut. I hate that phrase. I don't know why I do. I just hate it. So I cut it out of a piece of paper and then dyed it with Tim Holtz Distress ink in Ripe Persimmon. And I am just folding up these edges of the inset page just again to make it even more tattered. This is a stamp I got from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. It was a consignment stamp, so someone previously owned it. They mounted it on this little piece of foam. Hey, works for me. She looks like the Mona Lisa. I think she might be the Mona Lisa face. Well, she's not going to be today. So, anyway, so about collage. Sometimes I have a really easy time putting collage together, and sometimes not so much. I'm using Neocolor 2 crayons, and I scribbled them out onto my craft mat, and then just use a water brush to pick them up and color where I want them. So, yeah, I have a really hard time with collage sometimes. Sometimes it's like it just comes to me and it's like, oh, that's perfect. And other times it's like, this just looks like I threw a bunch of junk together and I hate it and I don't know what I'm doing. So this page was one of those I don't know what I'm doing, I hate it kind of days when it comes to that top collage. So I like this page, but I don't love this page. I like elements of this page. So yeah. So again, just using Neocolors and coloring everything up, just trying to make her look a little bit more evil. So, of course, she's a witch. She's got to be green, right? Now I've just offended all of my pagan followers. I know, y'all aren't green. You probably are green. With envy. Oh. So I'm giving her eyebrows because the Mona Lisa has a severe lack of eyebrows, and I just extended her smile just to make it look a little bit more mischievous. And I'm giving her a more defined nose with, of course, a wart because she's a witch and all witches have warts on their noses. And again, offended pagans, my apologies. So now I'm just cutting her out. And I really like how she came out. Like, she looked pretty good. But things will change. So then I just decided to draw her a little hat because, again, all witches wear pointy black hats. You know what? 'Tis the season for stereotyping. So, yeah. So I'm taking my black Neocolor crayon and I am just coloring this dictionary paper up. I didn't want to go with something super opaque because I wanted that book text to show through. In the end, I think I would have preferred this whole thing, her face, the hat, everything, if it weren't on book text, because the book text, I think, kind of distracts you from her and from the whole page with the mesh and I think it was just a bit overdone, but oh well, heavy-handed, what can I say? So, yeah, I was trying to figure out placement, and again, this goes back to my hideous collage day. I think with collage, you just gotta be in the mood to do it. And I was kind of not in the mood to do it. So, this is a piece of just notebook paper, just a little cheap notebook, and I just took a lighter and went right around all the edges and burnt the crap out of it. And this is really safe to do indoors, right around paper and flammable paints, and so, you know, there's no need for a disclaimer here about being careful, you know, or warnings or whatnot. So, you know, just grab your light. No, I'm kidding. So kidding. Just be really careful. I had a spray bottle on hand full of water, and I always have a water bottle, and so there's always water on hand. I very seldom work with with a lighter inside the house, but if you do, just be very careful. So there's my public service announcement. So I want to say that was right persimmon again, and I just again kind of stained the paper, and I am writing. You know how much I love my handwriting. I think it's getting a little bit better. But so this page says something. I'm trying to get to it. Can you hear me rustling? All Hallows Eve is nigh. With days left I shall bide my time. On the 31st I ride. So, yeah, that was fun. Can you tell I just got done reading Scarlet Letter for one of my upper division English classes? Yeah, I was very much so in that Scarlet Letter Puritan Salem witch hunt mode when I did this page. So, and I have been trying to use that little piece of like paper lace, that thing that and again I hate saying this word, but we're going to call it hand cut, the one that I hand cut from paper and then dyed orange. I've been trying to use this for like 2 or 3 pages now. I was going to use it on my last Halloween page and it just didn't work out, and so I'm using walnut stain right around the edges just to help bring in that burnt color, because, you know, burning obviously doesn't make it look naturally burnt enough. So, again, issues with collage. I was just like, oh. I don't know, I think, first of all, I think the problem was her face, she just didn't blend at all. So, yeah, when that happens, just take your Distress ink and just run it right over the top. So, I know some of you are probably going, and others are like, oh, that probably came out cool. Actually, I'm really kind of glad I did it, because the green pokes through, and the orange helps tie her in a bit more to the page, so I'm glad I did it. But so I'm using my Stabilo pen and just going back and refining some of her features, and I'm going to show you toward the end of the video how different she looks versus the actual stamp. So this is sepia accents, and it's not going to look very sepia because it's going on top of black, but I wanted this hat to be sturdy since it's going to be hanging off the end of the page, and you know, a piece of book text is just going to get torn, so I just filled the whole thing with sepia accents and let her dry overnight. So again, this is, I think it's Gathered Twigs Distress ink, and I'm just darkening up this piece of paper. Just wasn't happy with the color. That was better. It's not perfect. It's better. So I love this whole page up to like right here. Like if I could like pull everything off up to right here. Maybe well, no, I'll leave it the way it is. But this whole page right here, this makes me happy. I think the problem is scale, size of the witch, the color of the witch. There's things that don't make me happy about it, but overall I like the page. So then I decided to use some of that like paper doily lace stuff to become like the brim, not the brim, but the border around her. Anyway, I'm decorating. She's gonna be fancy. This is a couture witch hat. It was handmade. Kind of looks like the sorting hat from Harry Potter. By the way, did you guys know I'm a huge dork? Like, massive dork. Yeah, so you already know I love Star Trek, and I love Harry Potter, and I love Doctor Who, and I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'm a dork. I'm just a giant dork. Huge dork. So, you'll know how dorky I am if you go onto my Pinterest account and see what makes me laugh. You'll know I'm a giant dork. So I think I'm always pinning stuff about random things. So anyway, yeah, that was a giant clip of something that I could have cut out. There you can see my ape-like arms. Okay, so this is a piece of my faux resin paper, and I'm taking Distress ink in Walnut Stain. And at first I was just going over it with the foam applicator, and then I just took the whole pad straight to it. And then what I do is heat it up so that way the beeswax melts and the ink kind of sinks down into the wax. And here in a second I'll show you the difference between one that's been distress inked and one that just has the beeswax. I was cooling it down because it gets hot. So there's the difference. It's a pretty big difference. So I took it over to my sewing machine and added a decorative stitch down the length of it. And now I'm just hot gluing the ends back because I always hot glue the ends back. I'm just in habit. It's what I do. And this wasn't the smartest decision, but I ended up hot gluing that see-through piece of paper down. Yeah. Can you imagine where I went wrong there? It's see-through, and anyway. Should have used a little bit of that sepia accents, but that's okay. Probably just kept it along the stitching would have been fine, but no, I had to, anyway, dork. So I'm trimming her neck because she kind of felt like that black part that was part of her, it kind of felt like a turkey waddle. And I was like, girl, let me give you a little facelift here. So now she has a chin. No neck, but she has a chin. So I'm a plastic surgeon too. I'm not claiming to be a doctor. So I was thinking about using my sew stamper, and then I thought better of it because again it's made from ink from Satan that never dries. So I would have embossed it, but I just didn't trust it. So, and I was already not overly happy with this page, so I was like, yeah, we're just not gonna use that. So I'm just hot gluing everything down. And if you can tell, her hat cracked, so I just kind of kept bending it until it broke more, and then it looked all crinkly and tattered. So I'm taking off the label. Look, here's the difference between the Mona Lisa face and the witch face, which not too bad. I think the hat's a little off proportion. It could be a little bit bigger, but oh well. So I just colored the edges of the lace to help it blend in, and there you have it. There is my witchy page. See, she blends too much. The text, that's what did it. She blends too much. That's okay, I still like her. Hope you guys enjoyed the page. I'll see you soon. Bye.